Well, it is such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. And Alex, I'll give you that £5 afterwards in just a moment. Without further ado, I want to talk a little bit about the state of Nuxt. But first, I want to say hi. Here are some of the projects I'm involved with. It's not just Nuxt. I would love you to check out, for example, my magic regexp library, regexp.dev, or find out what your first commit on GitHub is with firstcommit.is, or some of the other things there. But I will be honest, Nuxt is much more exciting than any of those other things. This year has been a year of moves. A year of moves for me. I moved to this beautiful city in Edinburgh, and that is not quite the view out of my window, but that's definitely where I am based most of the time. This year has also been a year of moves for Nuxt. The road to Nuxt 3, I think, was not quite as smooth as the road in that picture. I don't know who here has participated in migrating a project to Nuxt 3, who here has perhaps been waiting eagerly or less eagerly for the release of Nuxt 3. But I think there are a couple of things that we learned in the process of adopting Nuxt 3 and releasing it. One is that scope and time are not both fixed. You can't both deliver a project that is as grand as you want and do so in the time that you predict for it in advance. You have to pick one of those to be important. And in releasing Nuxt 3, we picked scope, and it took a long time. That's definitely a learning point to put on the list. The second was the importance of ecosystem. I think if you ever want a live demonstration of the importance of waterfall, you can look at the migration from Vue 2 to Vue 3, and then the migration from Nuxt 2 to Nuxt 3, and then the migration of any libraries depending on Nuxt from their version 2 to version 3 modules. And you really see the power of additive waterfalls. You see the significance of relying on internals. So migrating from Nuxt 2 modules to Nuxt 3 modules was not straightforward because Nuxt itself changed how things were done. And that was a big part of why we've adopted a new kit model where we have an SDK for modules and so on. And the whole thing was a little bit like repairing a moving car, because whilst we were building Nuxt 3, Evan released Vite. Thank you, Evan. Actually, I am very grateful that Evan released Vite, but at the same time, there were challenges. It's difficult to repair a moving car, and so we learned a few things migrating to Nuxt 3. And one aim of this past year has been to help people migrate to Nuxt 3, for which we have Nuxt Bridge, which is a module that adds a forward compatibility layer to help people move to Nuxt 3. It does a lot of different things, and it's been released stably, and it will be around and maintained for a while. Particular credits to Ryota, who is a phenomenal member of the Nuxt team, who is maintaining that particularly. Out of curiosity, does anyone here use Nuxt Bridge currently, or do you plan on using Nuxt Bridge? Do just scan the QR code and let me know. Ryota would be glad to know. The aim is, by the way, that this module goes away. The aim is that it will help people migrate to Nuxt 3. It will help you move your projects by allowing you to granularly adopt new syntax and then say goodbye and move on to Nuxt 3. That is quite a lot of people, more than perhaps I was expecting. I asked one group of people if they were going to use Nuxt Bridge or not, and one person said yes. That was a hard day. That was a hard day. But it's good to know. Thank you for letting me know. Nuxt seems to be doing well. If you look at the numbers aren't what's most important, as Evan said earlier, and I couldn't agree more. There's a danger that numbers, whether that's GitHub contributions or whether it's NPM downloads or whether it's stars, start motivating you and you answer the question, am I valuable? Is the work that I do valuable based on them? But the Nuxt numbers are good, so it's fine. I can ignore that philosophical debate for another day. We recently passed 50,000 stars, which was an amazing moment. We have 2.8 million monthly downloads on NPM. And since this time last year, we've more than doubled our adoption of Nuxt 3 versus Nuxt 2, so over 60% now of downloads on Nuxt 3. The modules ecosystem, I should say that we have a huge number of contributors. We have over 600 contributors to the core Nuxt repository, and I will say actually that is a number I actually do care about, because in order for every one of those people, actually quite a lot of them are here today, to contribute to Nuxt, you have to overcome so many different barriers, but I am so glad that you did that, because Nuxt is far better than it ever could have been without you. So thank you. The Nuxt module ecosystem seems healthy. We have over 200 modules, most for Nuxt 3, over 164 maintainers, over 1,000 contributors across those modules, over 11 million downloads, and over 129,000 stars. And you can fetch the stats yourself by hitting that endpoint. And do check out the open source modules. This is just the officially listed modules on the Nuxt modules repo. Do check that out and add your own module to it if you maintain something. It's a great way of, one, finding modules and helping, making PRs, and aggregating statistics like this. We've also seen a huge explosion in recent, I'd say in the last few months, of UI libraries. Everything from Nuxt UI, which Benjamin Kanak created and we quickly adopted in the Nuxt org, to PrimeView, who are doing incredible things. ViewStick, I know, are here and have done great stuff as well, and lots more. And it's such a delight to see the proliferation of these UI libraries, built on Nuxt or launching with first-class Nuxt support. But I would love to know what you think. So if you wouldn't mind, this is an experiment that I was building minutes, literally over there, I was coding it. You want to visit that link and type in a word or a sentence that describes what you think about Nuxt 3, about the state of Nuxt, because I can tell you what I think about the state of Nuxt, but honestly, I'm a little bit biased. I would love to know what you think. And these responses won't get lost, so I will actually look at them. Okay, it is sort of working. It's coming in. Thank you. It's off the page. Don't worry, it's not lost. It won't just be gone. Okay, there's a bit of a lull. This is the bit I was coding. This might go badly wrong. Okay, OpenAI comes to the rescue. The majority of users find Nuxt enjoyable, efficient, and appreciate its developer experience, often describing it as awesome, amazing, and easy. If that's you, thank you. Some users express excitement about the framework's future and the promise of new updates. A few users highlight functionality specific to Nuxt, such as server-side rendering and its ability to facilitate quick feature development. Did someone actually say that? Or is this just OpenAI hallucinating here? There's a prominent trend of users comparing Nuxt favorably to other frameworks like Next.js, instigating a sense of competition. Despite the generally positive sentiments, a small number of users express concerns related to Nuxt, voicing issues with migrations in particular. That tells you this is honest, by the way, and that I didn't just write this in advance. In conclusion, the feedback largely paints Nuxt as a well-liked, efficient tool for developers, while also spotlighting areas for potential enhancement or attention. There you go, that's the state of Nuxt in 2024. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh. So looking back, this time last year, I wrote an article about a Nuxt Vision for 2023, and the key points were unifying the Nuxt code base, focusing on key modules and the ecosystem, supporting developer experience in terms of what we did, creating a stable release cycle, and helping with migration. And a lot of things, at that point, Nuxt DevTools was not even a glint, I think, in Anthony Fu's eye. So that developer experience priority seems to have come out well. Key modules, some of those are released. Some of them will be released extremely soon. The release cycle, I think we've kept up. And the migration, well, we had a few hitches with Bridge, to be honest, which is why we extended the Nuxt 2 end of life to the end of June this year. And the repo migration was probably the simplest of them all. But what is our vision for 2024? So the key thing in my mind is that I want to see Nuxt as a stable framework for the future. That's the first half. So I want it to be stable. And so we're going to keep that release schedule. That's a patch every week or so, a minor every month or so, and a major every year. And the aim of that is that we ship features every month. So it's not a big delay while we build new things. And that we ship bug fixes straight away. So you should be seeing those patches tick away quickly. And as much as possible, we're working to test things. So our Nuxt version of the ecosystem CI, for example, allows us to make sure that any project it tests is passing before we release something, or we will individually verify why it might be failing. It might not be related to Nuxt itself. But we don't just want to be stable, we also want to be pushing the state of the art forward as far as Nuxt is concerned, because we could probably be very successful if we were just stable, but that wouldn't necessarily be a joy to use. And it wouldn't necessarily feel like you were able to opt in to new features and build exciting things with Nuxt. And after listening to Puya's talk, who could fail to be excited, right? We want that. Some of the things we've built or are building, server components with deep reactivity. We've adopted a totally different approach to React. And so far, we're pleased with it. We have the concept of an app manifest, build caching, so you don't have to rebuild your site if nothing changes. You can just regenerate a single page, for example. And cache artifacts can be persisted across builds. That's something we're working on, should be released soon. We've shipped things like view transitions, API support within a week after it was announced more generally. And things like automatic reload and state restoration. We have did you know Nuxt 3 launched with support for rendering no JavaScript at all? We had a fully blown multi-page app framework out of the box. We're exploring things like inline root rules and build time metadata extraction, and Nuxt module federation, multi-app support, and lots more. And the concept, the way that we can do this is we've prioritized building a testing framework, which hopefully we use ourselves to test Nuxt, and hopefully others can too. We even have runtime support for vtest, and if you have any needs for test utils, that's something I care a lot about. I'd love to build those features. We're collaborating with Ecosystem CI, the Vite spawned org, which is helping to bring this kind of stability to lots and lots of ecosystems. We've adopted future and feature namespaces in Nuxt, which means you can opt in now to future improvements, so that when those are released, there isn't in a breaking change, in a major. It's not a breaking change for you. You're already up to date for it. And we will be releasing in the next few weeks a downstream testing action. So if you have a closed source project and you would like to be able to know whether it will work seamlessly in the next version, the nightly version of Nuxt, you can actually test that in your own CI without dependency on our own ecosystem CI. And as part of our release of Nuxt 4, we're going to be providing incremental code migration utilities to enable as much as possible seamless migration or less effort migration. It's never going to fully replace manual effort, but we want it to be a case study in how smooth a major release can be. And finally, if you do maintain an open source project that depends on Nuxt, please, and it has tests, please come to me. I would love to test Nuxt releases against it. We'll add it to the Nuxt ecosystem CI. We're also pursuing the state of the art in terms of browsers. So we're collaborating with the Baseline team, the WebDX team. It's come out of Google and other browser vendors as well to talk about what is the baseline web. We now have evergreen browsers across the board. So there's a certain base feature set, and then there's a leading edge feature set as new features come in. And as Nuxt, we want to make a commitment, one, that we will never slip behind the baseline, but also that we will adopt the leading edge as well on an experimental basis to allow people to try new features. And we're pursuing web platform support, whether that's WebSockets, amazing stuff, just there in Nitro, or WebAssembly possibility at runtime, new JavaScript runtimes and deployment targets, and lots of cool stuff coming from the Aurora team on performance for your Nuxt apps. And all of this we try and evaluate, not just throwing 1,000 seeds out there, but seeing which of them grow. We have opt-in telemetry. If you've enabled it, we'll get some anonymous data on what features you use of the experimental features. And we track the HTTP archive, which actually is able to tell us performance data based on Nuxt version. So we can see as we release new features how that affects the real performance of sites that are out there in the wild, your sites. And we can actually make decisions about what we do based on that. But all of this, the aim is, you should be able to opt into new features if you want to, if they're valuable to you, but Nuxt shouldn't be bloated. So the core Nuxt is just as small as it was. Features are auto-imported when used. They are opted into when you enable them in your config. And as much as possible, we want that to be the philosophy that we adopt. So what about Nuxt 4? So it's not about the hype. Because we released features in minors. So the 3.11 that we'll release next week will have our features. When we release Nuxt 4, we'll have some thoughtful breaking changes. Things like removing the pending property from use async data in favor of the status property, which already exists, and providing a code mod to migrate your pending to the appropriate logic based on the status property. We'll let you opt in to the new features early, but also opt out when they come. So for example, we'll have a new directory structure for new projects. But if you prefer the current structure, that's totally fine. It's configurable as it always has been. And you can just pass a flag to keep using what you want at the moment. And we, as I said, want to make it a case study for what a good migration looks like. What are some other things that are part of our vision? One is friendly collaboration. So it's a delight to be working in the UnJS ecosystem and to be taking utilities and collaborating with other frameworks like Solid Start or Analog, or people who are just using UnJS libraries on their own. And I would love for friendly collaboration to be something that characterizes us and that people think about when they think about the Nuxt ecosystem as well. Not all frameworks will be around forever. There are exciting frameworks that rise and fall, and we all want what we build to be something that lasts and is something that brings value to people. And I think collaborating, going together with people in a destination will always produce better results. I want us to be not, there's two kinds of unity. So there's a bounded unity, which is you put a wall up, and if you're in, then you're in, and if you're out, you're out. I want us to be a center-bounded unity. A center-bounded unity, I was told it was how cattle are kept in Australia, which might be totally false. But that basically there are no fences, and cattle are free to go wherever they want, but they come back to the farmer because the farmer is the one who feeds them. There's this source of goodness in the center. And I want people to be, that there's an ecosystem and a community spirit and a boundedness in Nuxt because we enjoy what we're doing. We have a great developer experience, not because there's any sense of exclusivity or keeping people out. Far from it. There should be a community which attracts. I want to talk about the ecosystem. So this is just a list of all of the different providers we support. Not all of them, because it doesn't include the WebSockets providers that Puya just announced, but some of them, from routing to deployment to testing to stories to KV and cache to databases to images to font providers. We support one of our aims within the Nuxt projects is to support choice. So you can use whatever deployment provider you want, whatever UI library you want, whatever image provider you want. And that takes effort and a lot of work to maintain all of these. If one of these is something that you use, I would love you to be involved in helping maintain that integration, because we want these to be first class. But our ecosystem it flourishes, and it makes Nuxt what it is, and I think it's philosophically very much what we are as well. Our community, I think, is and should be, and we aim to be, welcoming. So the reason we keep on iterating on our website is because we want to make it better and easier to use for people. Anthony is doing incredible stuff with TypeScript support on Hover. If you check some of our code blocks, they now give you even better documentation at runtime. Join the Discord, discord.nuxtjs.org for help and contribution, or check out nuxters.nuxt.com. If you've ever submitted an issue or submitted a PR on Nuxt, you might find you've got a nice little badge surprise waiting for you there. And finally, if anyone would ever want to contribute to Nuxt or another open source project, please feel free to book a call with me. I have a link on my website, ro.dev. Anyone can book a 10-minute call. If there's something that is, for whatever reason, feels like an obstacle to you getting involved in open source development, and it doesn't have to be Nuxt, please give me a ring. I would love to tell you that you would be very welcome in the Nuxt project and answer any questions you might have. Give me a shout. There's some exciting things coming. So Nuxt Fonts, well, I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment if I can get away with it. We'll have a built-in accessibility module. Nuxt Auth, Sebastian is going to be releasing this quarter. Nuxt Hints, I won't say much about that, but that's about improving your performance score through detecting issues at development time. And Nuxt Scripts and Assets, which Hussein has already talked about, will be released hopefully next week. So stay tuned to Twitter and the Nuxt blog for more about those. Sorry, very quick poll. Which module are you most looking forward to using? And I will only give us like 10 seconds for this, so you have to be extremely quick if you want to answer this. Okay, Sebastian, start coding. I think there might be an issue with that scripts endpoint. I have a feeling that maybe it's being sanitized by my website or something like that. Are you having problems with voting for scripts? Yes, you are? Okay. There may be an issue there. This is my custom WebSocket implementation. I should use Puya's WebSocket implementation. That would solve it. Okay, that's good to know. I bet it'll be sanitized in some kind of way. Okay. I want to do a very quick announcement, if I can. So I mentioned the Nuxt Fonts module. We've actually built it. Let's start a quick Nuxt project. And I want to show you because I think it's pretty cool. And I would love to see as many people as possible testing it. Okay, here we go. Let's install Nuxt Fonts. I released it like an hour ago, because I didn't want to do it quite on stage. Okay, oops. Oh, for goodness sake, I added it to the wrong place. Okay. There we go. Let's test that it's working. Okay. Let's add some style. Or we can give it a div, maybe. Make it scoped. Let's give it a font, right? Anyone know a good font family? Papyrus. Well, the thing is, when you do this, and you add a custom web font, actually, it's possible. I must have that on my system, because it's not downloading anything for that. Let's try something else. Roboto? Okay. So we have a font coming from my local instance. So this is pulling it from Google, adding the correct font CSS, adding font metrics so that there is less cumulative layout shift when you actually load it. And if I build and run this locally, then it will, oh, it should be bun, right? Then all the font files will be part of my project and deployable in a zero config kind of way. So I would love you to try out Nuxt Fonts. There you go. Part of the project. And that's pretty minimal layout shift. Here's the repo if you want to have a look. It's still private. Let's fix that. It's been a lot of fun building this. We have 4 providers at the moment: Google, Bunny, FontShare, and local providers. You can just drag your own font into the public directory of your site, and it will automatically detect. What? It will automatically detect that the font is there and do all the same things that you've just saw happen. I would love to get your feedback on it, and I would love to see people using it. Well, that's the first release, and there are more to come. But the main thing I want to leave you with is a big thank you. Thank you from the whole Nuxt team. You make it all possible.